So, for the past 1.5 days, you would have heard multiple talks about generative AI, and I'm going to add to it. But this talk is going to be different in some regards. Here, I'm not going to show you what all magic is possible using Gen AI. I'm sure that you have seen enough of that, both during this conversation, this conference, and outside as well. I'm going to talk to you about slightly more grounded things, that how should we leverage AI, and especially Gen AI, in a manner that it is responsible. Responsible in the sense, it is doing what it's supposed to do. It's not doing something which we would not want any AI or any person to do. Also, as you know that Gen AI is a very, very new thing. Hardly few quarters, hardly 3 quarters ago, ChatGPT came, and then the whole Gen AI revolution started. And this is a long journey, so this is a path. And using that response in a responsible manner is also going to be a path. So probably we are trying a lot of, I'm sure that a lot of you guys are trying, and probably the end state will come in the years to come, but together we'll walk this path. Yeah, so with this, let me start. I'll try to walk you through that what is responsible AI, what is the debate going on in the world, what should the AI do, and what are some of the principles for that, how is the current state, when we say generative AI, of course, the buzzword come LLMs, large language models. So what is the state of large language models to support the RAI, the responsible AI, and what kind of framework can be created, what kind of framework we are thinking about to make this happen. Okay. I won't go into very, very specifics of some of the R implementation, because this is not supposed to be a product talk. This is not supposed to be me selling you our product to you. But still, I'll talk about some of the principles which we are following, and those principles are fairly generic in nature. They can be utilized at multiple different organizations, multiple different sectors, multiple different business verticals. Yeah. But before that, just let me give you a brief about us. So we are one of the world's leading conversational AI platform, enterprise-grade AI platform. What I mean is that we are not a lab setup. We have been around for 7 years. We have 1,000+ enterprise customers. These customers are across multiple domains. They can be in BFSI sector, they can be in insurance sector, they can be in aviation, retail, service provider, utility provider, government organization, PSUs, etc. We have been using, powering close to 12 billion conversations each year. That is a billion conversations each month. And we have a multi-LLM based architecture, which gets fine-tuned based on these conversations. We have enterprise-grade security in place. So some of the best certifications in place, whether SOC 2 or ISO, and some of the laws like GDPR or DPDPA or HIPAA, we are compliant to that. We support multiple languages. Last I checked, it was 135+. We support, as I told you, that we support multiple industry verticals. Yeah, so with that, I'm sure that not a single day of yours would be passing without hearing something about Gen AI. People claim that Gen AI can add to the overall GDP of the world significantly. People claim, and in fact it's happening, we all of us are experiencing that the productivity gains due to Gen AI are just superlative. We, uh, we've been hearing claims, we have been seeing studies that how AI can help in sectors which earlier it was very, very human driven, very, very specialized sectors, for example, healthcare. Some of the world's industry leader, for example, Bill Gates, who has been doing philanthropy for a couple of decades, he also believes that the impact of Gen AI can be revolutionary. Yeah. And you might have heard some weird claim that Gen AI can help in eradicating poverty, can help in world peace. I'm probably too small to comment on those, but yes, the media is telling about these things. But you would have also heard about things like this, that Gen AI is racist, is casteist, is sexist. It can be easily fooled to do something which can be absolutely brutal. You would have seen, all of us would have seen screenshots of how ChatGPT or Bing or Bard are calling something very, very obscene. You might have seen a lot of objectionable images of celebrities, of politicians, doing something which has been generated by AI. Okay. Yeah, and you would have seen that the news is that all the human biases are reflecting in the worst possible manner in Gen AI. Okay. Plus, even those who are working on the cutting edge of this, for example, Sam Altman, they also say that if it goes wrong, it can go wrong very badly. What it means? It means that the AI can be transformative, but it is upon us to make sure that we are using it in a manner which is ethical, which is responsible, and which will make sure that it only adds to positivity and not to negativity. Yeah, so what's responsible AI? Very simple. I don't think that there is a agreed definition across the world, but it's an approach towards using AI in a manner which is ethical, which is legal. So this is a study recently conducted by MIT, who claimed that almost 84% of organizations believed that they should be using AI in a responsible manner, but more than half are confused on how to achieve that. So our point is that RAI is not just a technology. It has to be adopted at an organizational level. It involves human, it involves technology, it involves data, it involves security code controls also. So it has to be handled at an organizational level, not just at a team level or at a department level. Yeah, so what are some of the principles? Accurate and reliable. So as a business, suppose you are working in, suppose you are heading customer support for a banking company, and somebody comes and asks if I'm eligible for loan, and at what percentage I can get a loan. Suppose the eligibility, for that person's eligibility, the loan interest rate should be 10%. Okay. Just in case the bot says 99%, then that person can say that I was misguided by the bot, and now you have to give me the loan at 9%. Okay, so it's a huge loss. But that's just a financial loss. Suppose you are using it in a medical sector. And if there the AI predicts something wrong, it can have very bad implications. So it has to be accurate, it has to be reliable, accountable and transparent. So again, we know that whether it's ChatGPT or Anthropic but all of them have been trained at data coming from all kinds of websites, from billions of websites across the world. And hence, the transparency level is low. Why the bot answered something, why the, while you were chatting, why the AI said something, it is very difficult to gauge the reason for that. We can draw inferences that essentially what ChatGPT does is predict tokens in advance, generate predictive tokens. So it is trying to make sentences based on what it has learned, but it has learned from so many trillions of data points that it is very difficult to find out why it is spit out an answer. But in business context, it becomes very important that you have control. You know that for this particular answer, the bot has to answer this. There can be free-flowing conversations where the bot can speak nicely, can probably meander around a bit, but when it comes to specifics, it has to be accountable for in terms that what it needs to say it should say, and that control should lie with the businesses and not with the AI. It has to be fair and manage human biases. Again, I think one classic story, this classic puzzle or dilemma which keeps happening in the self-autonomous cars, that if you find two people, one is 80 years old and one is 3-year-old, what should the autonomous car do? Okay. Probably should stop. So, the thing is that there are going to be inherent biases in such kind of decisions, but those decisions should be handled in a manner which are fair to the humans using the AI and not to the AI. Okay. Explainable and interpretable, very similar to what I said about accountability. But here, what I mean is that if you are analyzing results, if you have a bot setting which is conversing with the end user and you are analyzing the conversation, you should be able to understand that why it said what. It has to be secure, it has to be reliant. Again, we would have heard things that how people are being able to jailbreak an AI. It should be, so if you deploy any model in the wild, there would be attempts to do that, but the model should remain grounded, it should not waver, and people should not be able to mess around it in a manner that it can cause harm to the businesses. So these are some of the principles. I'm sure that many more will come, but these are some of the things which I think will definitely be there. Okay. What are the limitations of LLMs? So LLMs are wonderful. They can answer almost every query in the world. They are sometimes addictive as well. Quite often I find myself conversing with ChatGPT or Bard for a long time, trying to learn about something, trying to increase my knowledge, etc. Or sometimes just having fun, but they are great. But at the same time, there are a lot of concerns. For example, the security concern, which I talked about in the previous slide, that there have been cases of people trying to jailbreak it, people trying to use it in a manner which it's not supposed to be, and being successful in that. Again, the lack of enterprise insights. You want to control that what the AI said and what why it said what. Those kind of insights are not there. It can be slow, it can be inaccurate. You might be asking to do a simple arithmetic summation and it might say something very different. So it can be inaccurate. Now, a great dilemma about the LLMs are they usually don't say no. They keep on spitting out things even if it makes sense or not. That is what we don't want in a real world setting. While if I'm just talking with an about casually, I might want to indulge in a very free-flowing conversation, but if you want to deploy it for any business purpose, you would not want it to spit out random blubber. Again, the points are related, hard to configure, and generic output meant for all. So these are any hundreds of billion parameters, trillion parameter models which have been trained over the whole internet, which takes like a month to train. And they are the same model for which is for you, which is for me, which is for anyone in the world. They are the same model for domain A versus domain B, country A versus country B. So it's a very generic model, and that's the power of it. But to deploy in real world scenario when your company's reputation might be at stake, you would probably want a much more control. Yeah. And all these are, in some sense, can be explained by that very, very simple diagram on the right, where there is an input, there is a single gigantic LLM and an output. There is no control beyond that. Yeah. So these are some of the frameworks which we are trying to use to make sure that our AI is responsible. Again, these are very generic controls. If you are building something on your own, you can follow these. If you are evaluating something, please make sure that you use these things. You apply some of these lenses to that. First of all, data privacy and security. So if it's a model which has to be deployed in real world, which is going to converse with real users, there might be cases where somebody is passing on sensitive information. It can be their date of birth, it can be their bank account, it can be their policy number, it can be their health profiles, etc. You would want these kind of data to be always secure. Okay. You would not want any kind of personally identified information to get leaked. And also, you are governed by some of the laws across the world. If suppose you are operating in EU, you are governed by GDPR law. Now, Indian government has also come up with its own law, DPDPA. So if you are working, if you are catering to Indians, then you have to abide by that law. If you are in some specific domain, let's say healthcare, you have to be compliant to a certain law like HIPAA, etc. So, and these are some of the things which we have been doing. Okay. Fairness. As I said, that the bot should not get swayed by what user is saying. We all have been guilty of sometimes speaking very harshly with a customer service agent. And sometimes looking back, I feel myself bad that I should not have used certain tone while on phone or while on chat. Now, the contact center agents are trained never to hit back, never to talk back to users in a harsh manner. Such fairness, such training has to be done at the AI side as well. You would not want your model to speak in a brash terms. Okay. Similarly, they should not have different disparities while they are making any decision. These can be simple decisions like whether to whether to say that a certain individual is eligible for loan or not. There should not be disparity. It should be according to the regulations of that particular business. Human in the loop, you would be hearing about this term a lot. So what is human in the loop? Human in the loop means that it's a very, very generic term. It can mean that sometimes either a human is influencing AI decision. It can mean human is influencing the decision in non-real time. So yeah, probably we are triggering it once in a while. Probably it can also mean that if bot is not able to answer queries, it's delegating its job to human and then learning for it, etc. So I was reading newspaper, I think day before yesterday, there was a news that Ministry of Corporate Affairs is trying to automate its process, and which is going to be largely AI driven. But that headline was that MOCA CA's automation will have human in the loop. So the final decision making authority will be a human. Before that, a lot of grunt work would be done by the AI. Yeah. So it can also mean that human in the loop can also mean that final authority lies with a person. Yeah, so that's very important. And then I've been telling you about the transparent and explainable LLM models. They should not hallucinate. Hallucination is essentially telling about something which is outside the domain of what the bot was intended to. There should be reasoning behind what it's saying. Okay. So I think very, very broad guidelines which are applicable to broad set of domain, broad set of businesses. And if either you are working for AI model in-house or working with some partner, please make sure that you are incorporating these and many others. And if so the frameworks which I mentioned, what can be some of the manifestation of this? There can be a lot of compliance related things like ISO, SOC, HIPAA, GDPR, DPDPA. These are some of the guidelines which are available in the market, in the world, which you can follow. If you build, so most of these guidelines are not specific to LLMs, specific to AI, but if you, as a principle, if you follow them, you should be able to achieve most of this. Then some of the specifics can be, let's say, OWASP top 10 for LLMs, which talks about that things like prompt injection, that the human should not be able to inject prompts in a manner that AI does something random, etc. So there are top 10 guidelines available over there. Also, there are different data privacy, different data residencies regulation across the globe. Depends on which geographies you are operating to, you have to adhere to that. It can be UAE, it can be India, etc. We are following all of this. Also, what we are following is security engineering. Basically a shift-left approach. We are making sure that the security is taken into account right from the development and not discovered during, after go live or after things are in production. We follow the DevSecOps model. We keep testing at a regular basis. We have certain empaneled auditors to audit our technology stack, and we have API securities in place. Again, some of the hygiene factor, which I think anyone can take inspirations from. Since we are dealing with messages, so each and every message has to be encrypted at rest. It should not be in a manner where it can be decrypted, or just in case of leak, somebody can get the data, etc. Those should not be there. We follow the principle of least privilege, so only those who need access to should get access to a certain thing. not everyone. We have a very resilient, robust security postures in place. Yeah. So I think these forms the basis of what I wanted to say. But something very interesting, if this you can scan through and see during your leisure time. So a very interesting quiz on how AI, some certain things have been generated by AI and certain things have been generated by humans, and they look very, very same. So probably something which will open your eyes, if you haven't seen a similar video, which will open your eyes to what AI can do and why we should be very cognizant of its power and why we should be using it in a responsible manner.